G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, after the last little transistor radio, I didn't know whether to start another one or not, but while it's on hold, let's start this one. Let's have a go at this one. A Toshiba Transistor 7, and a little bit of light on him there, but yeah, he's a 7P-70, made in Japan. There you go. And I hope he's a little bit easier. Although what we've got here is the tuning won't turn, and it looks like it's a dial cord arrangement as well, so I'm not going to push that. But anyway, let's have a look. There's no batteries in it at the moment. I've got no idea what it does. Possibly we'll try some batteries and just see how it goes. So we'll put some batteries in him, 3 AA's. So we'll put it in and see if it makes a noise. But either way, without tuning, we can't do much. But let's see if it works. Better put this on this time. We've got 3 good batteries. I don't know, someone must eat AA batteries and AAA batteries at this place. You can never find any. Okay, some batteries are in. Nothing. Are we certain we've got them all okay? We'll double check. Let's double check. And yes, they all face up, positive up. So we're right there. All making connection. And we don't have any sound whatsoever. Nothing. Could be the speaker, could be the earphone socket, could be, well, you'd think I'd hear a click. But there's not even a click in the speaker. So yeah, I'd narrow it down to speaker or headphone socket, or maybe the switch is faulty. Okay, let's get going on this one. Hopefully it ends up better than the last national, which we're still trying to find a tuning gang for, but we'll continue him as soon as we can find something or modify it. Okay, Transistor 7, Toshiba. Let's get into him. Now I'm gathering this is how we get him apart. Yeah, that's our battery compartment. Okay, this looks like it's going to do the trick. Slide this fella out. There we are. Okay. And this is good because we can actually run this radio from the battery pack while everything's intact there. So that's good. Inside. Very nice. Problem could be here with the switch. It could be here. Our aerial rod is intact. Speaker, unknown. Capacitors, yeah, there's a few. There's actually not that many caps in this. Not like the National that we had. Yeah, this little radio should be fairly straightforward. Anyway, find what's wrong with him first. Let's and this will be a restoration job. This is going in my collection. Now, just set those there for the moment. Positive, negative. We've got 4.6. Pretty good. Okay, over here, 4.6. There, nothing. Let's turn him on. He's on. And what have we got? Ooh, we got 4.4. So the switch is working. And there we got 4.5. Let's get a circuit and let's all have a look at what's going on here. Okay, compliments of Radio Museum. We've got this. We've got a circuit. We've got some info. We've got a really good circuit. And obviously up there is where we're interested. But have a look at this. The next page, there's our alignment details. And there's our layout. And look at that. How good is that? You don't get information like that these days. How good is that? Okay, let's look into this fella. There's a red wire broken, which is this fella, and he goes also to the red wire on the headphone socket or earphone socket. So there's our red wire there. So obviously this one, which is very hard, goes to this fella, but I can't see where he's broken off. But anyway, the other one goes to green, which is our ground. So this, yes, green to there. That is correct. And definitely red to this fella. Okay, we'll put him on. Let's solder him on and see how we go. Let's see if we've got any noise now. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Is it the headphone socket? Nope. That's making contact. Okay. Go back over here. Power. Yes. Power both sides. Now I know I did have power both sides of the speaker, but let's just check the impedance of the speaker just to be on the safe side. 7.2 ohms. That looks good. Okay. I wonder, is it connected with this somehow? Something tells me that, yeah, like we've just got no sound at all. Now, the speaker line there comes back over to here. Let's trace him. The next thing we'll check here is continuity between the speaker and back to our earphone. That's fine. The other red lead, which is, yes, they both go there together. So they're definitely okay. Green, which is this fella, back to here. And he's okay as well. So we don't have any problems there. The larger red and the larger green come from your output transformer. Now this is a slightly different circuit here. As you can see, there's a transformer there and one there. This one, transformer here, and there's another one up here. So a little bit different layout, even though it's a 7P-70. So probably a different version or whatever. So I think probably the best thing now, that could be something under the board that's a dry joint, something like this. So I think we'll take the board out, take the speaker out, and we'll use a power supply for our batteries. Now this also very loose on this end. Don't know whether there's something here that's broken or what's happening here. But anyway, I think we're not getting anywhere just at the moment with no sound. So let's undo that screw. And whatever else holds this in. There's probably a couple of screws here. Maybe this little fellow here, although I'm not sure. I think there's a very small dial cord or something underneath this as to why this gang isn't turning as well. Our tuning capacitor. So let's get him out. Interesting. Very interesting. Certainly not original. Okay, now what else holds this in? There is a little Phillips down in here. Doesn't want to come out. Why? Feels like it's held up in this area. We might just pop these off, unsoldering, and get rid of the back there. Okay. I know, he's coming out. And I don't want to put too much pressure on the speaker leads. We'll just take our battery leads back out of there. All this has got to come out to restore him, get him back to original anyway. Right, that's a bit better. Okay. Well, I'll get you back in frame there in a minute. Right. There we go. Ah, I see. Our little wheel is loose, which is on that screw. Holds him in. So for a start, we might tighten this fellow up, so at least we can turn the dial. Another dial cord. Geez, I love them. As you know. He's turning. Let's tighten this little fella up. Right. Still doesn't want to turn, this fella. It's a little bit of a worry. Anyway, closer inspection. Why have we got no sound? Got a loose antenna bolt there. Has this been undone for some reason? I can also see, I don't know whether you guys can see that on the camera, and I don't know whether it's my imagination, but right in there looks like a crack across those two tracks, just there. Maybe. Let's put the meter across and see what we're reading. Now, we'll current limit this to, what are we going to current limit to? About 100 milliamp there. That's amples. Okay, we've got a current limit on our power supply of 100 milliamps. And what I've done now is put the meter in line with the power supply to see how much current we're drawing. We're drawing 38 milliamps. Now, if we turn this off, 0, turn him on, what's happening here? There we go. And if we turn him up, he draws more. If we turn him up, he's drawing 38 milliamps. I think our speaker's open circuit. I think I've missed something here, guys. Yeah, I think I have. I measured across there, which would be across the transformer, not realizing I hadn't lifted the transformer off. So, let's get that off. I have another little speaker, and it's off the other national radio. So, we do have a speaker that we can try. Let's disconnect our speaker here, totally. Let's disconnect our ground lead from this. Let's get this. That's the speaker. least it's 8 ohm. Okay, let's get that out of the road for the moment. Because all indication points towards it's working, but we can't hear it. Put our speaker back on here and here. Okay, what have we got here? We still have no audio. It's not the speaker. Okay, let's trace some wiring here. This is not making a lot of sense at the moment. Here's our 2 wires to the speaker, a red and a green. Which are those 2 in there off the transformer? Now, seeing I'm going to clean the earphone socket out, and well, in case he's tarnished, we'll take him off. We'll take all this off, and we will be tidying this little fella up. He's a little bit tarnished, so he'll need cleaning up. Right, so we're drawing a little bit of current there. One speaker lead is ground. The other one goes to the transformer. We'll connect directly onto the transformer. And there it is. We must have a broken track or something here at the transformer. That's the problem. It's right there somewhere. I will get my microscope and try and give you guys a better look and work out what's going on. Okay, let's see if he makes a noise now. I'll turn him off. Put our power back on here. Turn him back on. Yes. And certainly doing the job, certainly picking up. But what it's not doing now is tuning. Just a moment, I'm putting back on here. Stay on there. It's tuning. And I don't know why. So, we've certainly got this fellow working. I've got the speaker working. Everything's right there. So now we've got to get this tuning. I wonder what is wrong with this fella here. Okay. Let's get this off. Let's have a look underneath. At least the radio, well, certainly appears to be working. This is without caps or anything. So, yeah, very good. Okay, now let's take this Take our tuning dial off this end. Now that's just wrapped around a couple of times. This fella will have to be held because it's all one long screw on this fella. Okay, let's do this horrible job of dial cord. Okay, the nut's off. There he comes. We'll need this off anyway to do our work here. And we'll just get that fella off. This little fella will probably need a little bit of lubrication. I don't know whether he has a small sleeve bearing in there, or yes, he does. Gee, and that was very tight. So is that fella. Yeah, so that is supposed to run on that, but that was yeah, very tight. Okay, put him on here so I don't lose where things go. And now, once again, can't take a trick with these little radios. We're back into the tuning game. At least this one is a little bit more common, and I would have, pretty sure I'd have one of those here. This fella holds the aerial. I'm a little bit inclined to tighten him up before we go any further, because that aerial wants to flop around a little bit. There we go. That's good. That's held him nice and tight. Possibly someone else has been in here before me. Now, little corrugated screw, very gently undo him. There we go. He's off. Not much to see under there. Not much at all. The screw out. And he looks like a little bit of... Anyway, we'll come back to that. This fella. Ooh. Fairly tight. Going to disconnect our speaker because we know that he works. Come back to him later. And this little fella, suppose we can't make it any worse. Here he goes. He's away. Either that or we've broken him. No, he's seized. He's obviously something's broken inside. Now, we've got 3 little connections on this side of him. This is only an AM type tuning game. So we've got one there, one there, one in the middle, one each side, one for the oscillator, one for the antenna. Very common little fella. So I think we'll desolder that one, and that one, and take him out and have a look at what's happened and work out what we're going to do with him. Let's unsolder him and get him out. Now, before I do that, I want to take our volume knob off, for the simple reason I don't want to touch it with a soldering iron. It's a bit too close for comfort. Right. Would have been a little bit easier doing this without that on as well. Alrighty, let's unsolder these fellas. I'll be using solder wick. That should do him. And there he is. Looks like there's been a bit of moisture or something in this little fella. Yeah, he's the shaft, like it's just jammed shut. The shaft is freely spinning now, so there's there's not much we can do with him. So we're going to have to replace him standard, and I'll give you a look at him. If I can get a good image there. There he is. His number. Yeah, he's certainly had something spilt inside him. We can see if we can take the back off and just see, but yeah, this one won't be worth resurrecting, so he's going to need another one. So I'll go and have a look in my parts, and pretty sure I've got one of these somewhere. Well, we can be lucky. I've got this old module, this old radio module, a home built thing, actually. Look what's in there. In actual fact, it is, I'm pretty sure it's an identical to the one we need. So that's pretty good. Just a bit of a look. I'll have a bit of a look in the camera here. Yep, looks good. Let's get him out and transfer him into him. We'll do a transplant. Right, sit him in there. He certainly looks the part. Now, will these screws fit the same? Yes. Gee, don't tell me it's going to be this easy. Right. Here we go. Here we go. Have a look at him, see what he looks like. Yep. Yeah, a little bit close there, but all good. Okay, we'll get a little bit of cleaning agent on there anyway, and just clean up where we've soldered. But you know what we can do now? We can put a speaker on here, and we should be able to tune in a station. I wonder if this is going to work. Let's try that. And look at that. Should be able to get a local station here of some description.
I'll put a figure on the split between it. I've heard of a few businesses deciding not to harvest, but overall it's more in making a decision to perhaps do less runs through. I think the dominant factor probably.
There we go. Now it's got a little bit of a whistle there. Now I dare say one of the caps, the bypass caps, AGC caps, etc. We also have lots and lots of interference from lights, camera, everything in around here. So, okay, let's call that a goer. Disconnect the speaker, power, and we'll find which caps we're going to replace. Let's start with a couple of electrodes. I can see there's one, two, there seems to be only three there. And looking at the circuit, we're looking at 1, 2, and 3. That probably is about all there is in this radio. Interesting. Okay, let's get them changed. Then we'll see how she performs. And then it's alignment. Now, as well as that, here's the front. I better go and do a bit of scrubbing up and cleaning and get him look a little bit nicer. And the same with the back. Although it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. We can remove our batteries and go and, get him cleaned up a bit. Okay, we'll be back soon. Okay, the next step, let's remove some capacitors. Now, we've got a fella here, which is 100 microfarad at 6 volts. And the negative faces the top of the radio. Okay. Be interesting to see what these little caps are measuring. Positive, which is the longer lead, towards the back. Negative, towards the top here, this end. And as you can see, he's quite a bit smaller than the fella that came out. Technology, always moving. Right, now I'm also working here underneath a magnification lamp, so you'll probably see me moving around a bit. Now, our next capacitor is this little fella here. He's a 10 mic, 3 volt working. Cutting it a bit fine when the radio works on 3 volts, but yeah. Okay, so it's that fella in there. Let's get him out. And there we go. So negative this way. And we should only have one capacitor to go, one electrolytic. Push this fella up a little bit out of the road. And it's that fella, I think he's across those two there. Lift him up. Right, there we go. And he's a 30 microfarad, 3 volt. So we put in a 33. Hopefully I can find a small one of those. And the smallest one of these I could find was a 63 volt. So, yeah, he's a little bit bigger, but he'll still fit in there, no worries. Still only the size of basically the one that was in there. These little fellas, these little resistors, I've never seen them give any problems. They're incredibly reliable. Well, that I found anyway. Okay. We're looking fairly good as far as components are concerned. All nice and neat. We do need a couple of better speaker leads than this very heavy wire on these. And, of course, this one, these two, go out to the earphone socket. Okay. Now, that fellow there, just trying to find out where he goes to. That one, I think, we're going to replace those two wires. We'll make them a little bit longer and certainly a smaller gauge wire. They're very heavy. Pretty sure this is the part we fixed up, and I think that's the pin from the transformer, and he goes up here further. I think he's up around here. There he is. Now that fella is our red wire, so we're taking him out and putting in a little bit smaller and a bit longer piece of red wire in there, and the green wire is actually up here, I think. So we're doing those two now. Right, now as a matter of curiosity, there's our first cap, 100 mic, 6 volt. Let's see what he reads. Negative on that side. And he's reading, well, more than 200 mic. He's reading 330 microfarad. Okay, doesn't seem real good, does it? So this one, a 30 microfarad at 3 volts. So negative on this side. We're looking at a 30 microfarad. I can get him to stay on. 30 microfarad. And he's reading 108. Okay, be interesting to see the ESR on these as well. And this little fella, 10 microfarad, 6.3 volts. Negative side. I'll go to the 20 mic scale. Let's see what he reads. He's high as well. He's reading 40, 41. Okay. Let's have a look at the ESR. out of interest, looking at the 100 microfarad, how many ohms have we got across him? 1.4. So, yeah, he's not too bad. The 30 mic is 5.2. That's getting up there a bit. And like we're supposed to be down, yeah, to the points here. So, yeah, they're way too high. And this one, 11 ohms. And there's no decimal point in there. So we're looking at 11 ohms across that 10 mic. So fairly pleased we changed those. Okay, well, let's now connect a little bit of power, connect the speaker up, and just make sure he's all working and see if he works okay. And then we can do a little bit of cleaning up on the board. Okay, have him on the power supply, temporary speaker. Let's see if he's still working. Certainly is.
Which is helpful, but I always say to people, if one goes into individual, if you can, don't lose your couple therapy.
Working lovely. Okay. Going to clean the board up. I'll just turn that back down. Going to clean the board up with a bit of cleaner, probably methylated spirits or something like that. The pot, the volume pot, I'll give him a little bit of a clean and just clean up around in general. And then we might get on to the alignment and see just how far off he is. He probably will be a fair way off, seeing we've replaced the cap, the tuning capacitor. So, yeah, let's clean him up, do a little bit more on the case, and then start putting him. I think we can put him all together and then do the alignment. Oh, and of course, yes, how could I forget? I've got to do my dial code. Right, well, we've got our volume control on. Okay. We've cleaned the board up a little bit. All that fella is just put him on, and there's a screw in the centre. Now, this I have put back together. There's 2 turns go around the little thumb wheel. Our other little wheel goes on there. But how does all this work? How does all this work? Does our other little wheel, he must go underneath? No, no. This little wheel goes up the top, up here. Okay. Let's screw this little fellow in for a start and get this one put into gear. Get him mounted on. Sorry guys, you can't see this. If I get around like that, you might be able to see what I'm doing here. Very, very gently. There's absolutely no pressure. In fact, that's going in by itself now. Screwing in. And he's just about home, I think. And yep, that will do me. I'm not taking him any further. Now this little fella has to mount out here on this one. So first of all, we slip his spacer in the center, which is all lubed up and yeah, a little bit better than what it was. We've then got our screw, which goes in. Now we've got to just put some tension on the little spring. There. I can get the nut to start, and yes, he is. He started there. We screw him up until he screws up onto the little spacer. The thumb wheel rides on the spacer. Well, look at that, guys. It's actually a dial cord that works. And it works as it should. That's very nice. Very nice. Very impressed with that. Okay. What's next? Perhaps our earphone socket. We can polish him up a little bit. He's a little bit tarnished, so needs a bit. And then we can start assembling the actual case and put him all back together. So yeah, that's it's been cleaned up on the back, some old glue and stuff like that, which won't give any problems. We may give it a brush up, but not much problems. But the front, boy, that come up pretty damn nice. Right, let's clean this fella up. Okay, guys, let's get this little fella together. We'll just do a little bit on the front case, so that I can actually mount the circuit board and everything on the front case, and then we'll do our alignment. But I'd rather do it in the case so I can line the dial up and so forth. So let's put some things together here. Okay, we've just worked him out. A little indent just there. He goes. There's a little fella right in the bottom there. You probably can't see him much on the camera, but he's in there, and he slips in the bottom of this fella. So, and now we'll put our escutcheon on. This doesn't look like it's centered. So if you guys are doing one of these, that is correct. It goes in and slips down to that little indent. And when we put our nice little chrome escutcheon on the outside, he will all be in place. There we go. It's looking nice. This is very hard seen. It's so shiny. We get light reflection from absolutely everywhere. So now we just go in and bend these little tabs over. Now, going to bend them backwards, not towards the center. Okay, so if you're doing them, you bend them back like so. This one back like so. Okay. Now I did have some glue on there. Believe me, that's not going to move. So there we are. Our dial is in. So let's get our circuit board. And now we have, before our circuit board, looks like our speaker better go in, doesn't it? The speaker in. Going to have to give you guys a little bit better look at this. Let's see if we can get up there and give a better look for you. I'm thinking this probably went in. Gee, I haven't got any pictures either. In like so, because our wires for the speaker, no, they would go, I would think, this way. And I would say it's definitely been this way because I can see our glue on this side that matches where it was. Okay, so, and when we put this fellow in, it means that our speaker wires, they're long enough there, everything is okay, and this fella, well, he goes in the side, the back. So yes, we'll connect our speaker in. So a little clip goes on first, your little speaker bracket, and then there's our earth plug. I'm just going to clean a bit of the paint off there, or lacquer, and put our earth lug on, which goes onto the radio as well. So we've got to get, we took that off actually, we've got to get an earth lead from the ground of this to the speaker ground. And over tighten that fellow. Now, our ground, right, we've soldered our ground wire on here, which our ground track is along the outside, which is the positive of the battery actually. We're switching positive, but it's ground. This is a PNP transistor system. So that's ground and goes up here and along the top as well. So both rails there is ground. Okay. Now, these fellas in first. Put him down like so. This fellow is what we need. That is what was in there. And we're certainly not using that again. That's not on. So we'll put this little fellow in. And we'll round up another one. The same. Obviously someone else has been in this fellow and not put the right screws back in. We'll solder our ground wire on. Our speaker wires. Okay, and they're our battery cables. So we can now test this little fella out and have a listen and make sure everything is still going. We'll throw that screw in the bin. So now we'll have a we'll have a listen and see what we can pick up. What do we got? We've got 4.5 volts, haven't we, on here? Set my power supply to 4.5 volts. Okay. Set him up. Okay. We should have a little radio that will work. Let's turn him on and see what we got. And we have now we have lots and lots and lots of noise here. So let's kill a couple of lights here. You'll still be able to see it, but boy, those lights are lots and lots of interference. Okay, let's see. We've got the ABC up here.
And I believe they do have a ring around it, which is down the edge, the outer edge.
Now we've got something shorting here somewhere. And I don't know why, so we're going to have to look into that. It's actually here somewhere, and we better not play too much of that. So there's a little area here that seems to be touching underneath or something. There's maybe we've missed a spacer or some insulation underneath the circuit board there. So yeah, I'm just going to lift him off and just see what could be touching and where it's touching. Okay, just going to do that. I'll do that off camera because you need to concentrate a little bit. So I'll come back and let you know what I found with this thing. We found what he was. He was a dry joint on the primary. Well, not actually a dry joint. It just cracked around the solder joint right next to that transformer. And of course, the other side had been hit at some stage, and that was the problem, main problem with this radio, that it wasn't connecting to the speaker. So I repaired the primary side. It just needed a tiny little blob of solder, and now he's working nicely. And we'll probably do a test outside with this fella. We're just going to do a mini alignment on this fella because we've got IF cans oscillator coil that's full of wax, so we're not going to go too far into it. The obviously we've got oscillator and antenna on the tuning cap that we replaced, so we'll be doing that. Okay, we'll get our sheets and see what it says, where we start. Right, guys, we're getting on with the alignment. Now, I'll get yours in shot there. Now, what we're doing is, I'll just turn him down for a moment, gone to the end of the dial, and we're on 1600. Well, we're actually gone a smidgen past that. Now, this is a very basic alignment. So, what we've got here, we're not adjusting the oscillator coil because it appears to be in the right position for the station I listen to, which is 2CR, which is an ABC station at 549, and that appears to be spot on. So I'm not seeing the coil is waxed up, everything. It's probably not going to move. So we're going to go to 1650 that I've got the generator on at the moment. The gang is fully open. and I'll adjust our oscillator trimmer so we can bring in 1650 right at the end of the dial. Okay, so this one's our oscillator, that little fella, loosely coupled here from the generator, just a loose couple over the rod, and let's see if we can find one. Find 1650. Actually, I'll put on a bit of light for you. There he is. Very touchy. Spot on. Okay, we'll back off our level a little bit. Now we're doing this by ear. We're going to use, just a moment here. We're doing this by ear. We're going to peak our trimmer for 1650. And our last IF can here has no wax in him, so I'm just going to peak him up. Like so. I'll drop our audio back down, but we might put a meter on this and just to show you what's happening here. Righto guys, well that's our alignment with this little fella. Fairly crude, but yeah, oscillator tuned into 1650 at the end of the dial. I checked the other end of the dial just with a radio station here, because this is fairly well sealed up on the rod, so I didn't want to move it. Actually, that's I don't think anything would have moved at all, certainly not with that one. And the IF cans, well, as you can see, there's the what have I got here? I think this is your oscillator, the mixer transistor, I think is this fellow, I think from memory, and IF1, IF2, IF3. So the only one I've touched up on is IF3. Otherwise, this is going magic. It's really good. So now, and that sounds shocking, but with these LED lights, there's the difference.
AFL Nation, GMA.
And that's working quite well.
Yes. There's Tim Winton's collection, The Turning, is exquisite, interconnected, surpassing, beautiful stories. Read it and you will be converted, says Gabe. David
and
says...
that was made into a movie, that one.
Fabulous. Dave says...
Now, we're not going to get hardly anything in here.
Whatever you're at, whether you buy, invest, innovating, or refinancing, they'll help you compare and save.
So
Easy
that's,
mortgages lends quickly.
that station there is actually 1089, which is our local station, local commercial. Okay, we'll now get ready to put the back on this little fella. And almost call it quits. I think he's going pretty well. And then we'll take him outside once we get the back on and some batteries, and let's see how he performs outside. Now over this, I'm just putting some gaffer tape just to protect the terminals against touching anything. Probably wouldn't, but I'd prefer that the compartment's protected there. Like so. Okay. And just got to tuck him in under there. Let's put some batteries in. And take him outside and see how he works.
I'm just sort of curious because
they're racing. Come on, Flippy, spin the line. The biggest numbers of the 30 in diameter in the crowd, Djokovic himself feels.
You may have a valuable claim for compensation. You have nothing but a lot to gain by speaking with one of our expert team for you. Through timing and supply, call by.
We'll have to send someone in your place. I suggest Lieutenant Stein find a couple more years of life. Oh, no, I'll just...
Well, guys, that about wraps it up for this little Transistor 7 Toshiba radio. It was a little bit of a trick towards the end. There was intermittent fault with it, and you'd put it together, it'd go distorted. I'd pull it apart, and it was fine. And this went on and on. I thought something is touching something somewhere. So yeah, after a long time of mucking around with it, I finally got to the bottom of the problem. So I want to take you a little bit closer to the problem. But first of all, this is our casualty list. So let's take a bit of a closer look at what I had to do with this little fella to get him working well. And oh, believe me, This is working just so well. It's incredible. So let's take a look, and let's take a look at the faulty part that kept coming and going every time I put this thing together. Oh, and the dial cord is working perfectly. Get away from that light, but
No obligation assessment. Often you only get one chance to get it right.
yeah, that's there's a light here that's it just creates shocking RFI. So yeah, there she is, all finished, beautiful little radio. But if you'd asked me in the last couple of days, it wasn't so beautiful actually. Let's take a look. Well, there it is, casualty list, 3 caps, tuning capacitor, and a 3.9K resistor. Now, no, it hasn't gone out of range. I'll show you what's happened with this one, and I've never seen this ever. I'll just get something that I can wriggle this for you. You can see there, and how can I show you? The actual lead is loose in the end of the resistor. Look at that. It's got, looks like a blackened end in there, and that little resistor would just touch and then not touch when I was pulling it out, putting it back in. Now, you'll say, okay, well, where was this? Well, this resistor, being a 70p radio, I have the circuit diagram, but as we know, the diagram isn't the same as this radio, and I cannot find what this radio actually is. It must be a different version. This is actually on one of the supply rails to the second IF transformer. But this, I can't point it out on the diagram for you because it's not there. But anyway, this was causing severe distortion, and very unusual. It seemed to be an audio problem, but in actual fact, it was a feed line. But there it is. It's that may look orange, but it's not. It's a 3.9K, not a 39K, and with a dicky lead. There now. So there is the casualty list, and now the radio works fine. I recorded this, and you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I forgot to press record. So, yeah, I lost that footage, which was some good fault finding footage, but yeah, we lost it.